Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel, guys. You've got Bert, the Hurt, and Lanny, your boys here at the Dividend Diplomats. You got all upbeat about SEHD's video yesterday, guys. Big dividend payment. Congrats. Today, today's going to be a little heart to heart on a stock that's down pretty much 50% this year. This is a heart to heart with a stock that's yielding now well over 6%, not even just 5%, guys. So we need to have a conversation here, don't we, Bert?
We do, because this is a stock that we both own and we both have pretty decently sized positions in each one of these. So it'll be a fun one. And I say fun with quotes, but we got to do it. We got to be true. But before we do that, everyone, please, we would really appreciate if you take a couple minutes, even though you don't even a couple seconds, just hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. Holla at your boys. Let us know, despite the fact that the stock market's rising, we're still trying to find those undervalued stocks. So let us know if there are any specific stocks, any industries, any comparisons you want us to work on over the next couple weeks. We'd be happy to throw some fun videos out there for all of you, the viewers.
All right, guys. So we're filming this here on December 14th. The stock market is rising. They're blazing trails up 23%. Everything is all great, right? Well, except for Pfizer shareholders. Yes, we're talking about Pfizer. Ticker symbol is PFE. Bert, what has happened with this stock price this year?
It's going up, kid. It's rising. It's going all the way to the top. Kidding. It's going to the bottom. This one has just been brutal this year. It's down at the time of this on December 14th is what we're filming this, down 49.02% year to date. But there is good news, Lanny. It's not as low as it has been over the last 52 weeks. It's gone up a little bit in 2023 compared to last year, because over the last 52 weeks, it's down 51.26%.
Yeah. So,
and I say that with a smirk on my face because it's just been an awful, awful year for Pfizer.
Tough year for Pfizer, guys. So what they did yesterday on the 13th is they released 2024 full year guidance. Now, let's backtrack. Let's backtrack to about 3 years ago. 2020, Pfizer had revenues of about $41 billion, almost $42 billion in revenue. Big, right? Huge. COVID during that year, they rolled out the vaccines. And Bert, heading into 2021, what was that total revenue?
Not one, not two. It was 81.3 billion in 2021 as they rode the COVID booster bump to prosperity along with so many others out there. That's how much the vaccine of an impact that the vaccine had on their financials. It nearly doubled their revenue just like that.
And then 2022.
All right.
When the tide finally started to say, okay, we're at the top. 100 billion in revenue in 2022, guys. 100.3 billion.
Yeah. So let's look ahead to 2023. At this rate, 2021 was 81 billion, 2022 was 100 billion. Logically, 2023 is going to be 120 billion, right, Lanny? Since we're going off this pattern here.
The Vince McMahon.
Yeah. What was it, Lanny? What's the expected revenue for 2023?
So since we haven't had the full year results, but Pfizer also indicated kind of where they would be near this year's end of 2023, we're looking at somewhere between 58 to 59 billion, a fall from grace of over 40 billion from the prior year, a fall from over 20 billion comparatively to 2021.
But it is important, like, not to say we need to have a positive spin on there. Obviously, the impact of COVID and will help the company's revenue increase substantially. And now they don't have that, so it came down. But it started pre-COVID. 2020 revenue was 41.65. So their forecasted revenue is up 17 billion from that point 3 years ago. it's just fallen quickly. I think that's kind of what's catching everybody off guard, and that's what's really hammering the stock price right now.
Yeah. So then that brings us to yesterday. They announced 2024 guidance, guys. Now, the big piece is do you think that the revenue will outpace 2023? And it's really going to be about the same. When you break it down just by pure dollars, they're expecting 58.5 to 61.5 billion in revenue. Still solid, still massive. I mean, there's no question there. And they expect right now adjusted EPS, again, adjusted, quote unquote, not actual EPS, to be in this 205 to 225 range, um, which is interesting because the analysts still are looking at like over $3 plus an EPS, but Pfizer is expecting 205 to 225 in adjusted EPS. We'll get to some of that.
Yeah.
But and on top of that, bro, what did they just complete as of today on the 14th?
The acquisition. They finalized the long pending acquisition of Segan, and it's a major move into the cancer sector. That's where they're moving their book portfolio. It wasn't a small acquisition either. It was a $43 billion acquisition. And the headline I'm seeing says it's doubling its oncology pipeline. So that's where they're heading. I read an interesting fact about this, Lanny. They said this is the largest acquisition in the sector since 2019 when AbbVie bought Allergen for $61 billion. So it's not a small acquisition. You can see Pfizer is just saying, we need to do something to bolster up this revenue. We need to do something to change the game here, get out of the COVID wave, move into a different sector, and really start owning that lane.
They're really coined the phrase, and I think the doctor slash CEO over at Pfizer said, we're going all in on cancer and building out, as Bert said, that pipeline on cancer drugs. So that's what Segan's going to bring to the table for Pfizer. We may not see the true full effects in 2024. It looks like adding only a few $1 billion in that 58.5 to 61.5 billion. So it might be more in that pipeline when those come to actual market fruition, essentially. So very, very interesting, part of Pfizer. So the question is Pfizer right now the biggest dog stock of them all right now? Are they just a tough stock to own and hold? We're sitting here, two shareholders. Bert, I know I own well over 200 shares.
I own 100 plus. I don't own quite that in any one portfolio. It's just spread across a bunch of different ones between my wife and I. So let's ask ourselves, I mean, what we like to look at when looking at these dog stocks too, obviously as dividend investors, is what's going on with the dividend? Is the dividend safe? And I think now is probably a good time to start running them through our screener, see what the metrics are looking like, especially focusing on that second one. So let's hit that, Lanny. Let's go through the three metrics, the PE, the payout, the dividend growth history, and then throw in the yield. Let's just see what the numbers look like, and then we can give our thoughts about this dog.
All right, guys. December 14th, trading at $26.13. Sounds very weird to even say that. We're going to use the 225 management adjusted EPS expectations for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
PE based on that is about 11.6.
Okay, 11.6. Well below the S&P 500, but in line with a lot of the other companies within this sector. It's a low PE sector. Let's not forget that.
Right.
The annual dividend's $1.64. When you use that 225 EPS, payout ratio is 72.89%. So it's above our 60% threshold, and it's creeping up, especially since they reduced down that EPS.
Yeah, that payout ratio is very tight right now. You don't have much room to go before you're at that 100%, because when you're only working with an EPS that's that low, it's easy to see, oh yeah, we missed it by 20%, then all of a sudden you're at the 100% mark. So
Don't
you're
have
not too far away.
No. And look, their 5-year dividend growth rate is 3.83%. They've increased it for 12 years. I mean, dividend growth is going to be low probably for the next few years, if I had to guess. I don't expect them to blow that dividend growth rate out of the water until things start to turn around a little bit more for Pfizer.
Remember, they divested the big Upjohn business with Mylan into a new entity called Viatris. So that was a huge deal, losing revenue, losing cash flow, and then um,
Yeah.
just closed on a $43 billion acquisition. So a lot of cash flow is going to acquisitions and paying those items. Um, so I don't know if they're going to be too focused on increasing the dividend, which should be coming up very soon for us Pfizer shareholders.
Yes, I would continue to expect something minimal for Pfizer in the short term. But here's the big thing, Lanny. If the price has dropped, surely the dividend yield has increased, right?
And surely it has.
That's right. What are we looking at now for a yield standpoint for Pfizer?
6.28% yield. That is probably the highest I have ever seen Pfizer's yield in my time of owning the stock, guys. And I've owned this stock as one of my first stocks I ever bought.
Yeah, you've owned this one for a long time. You
Yeah,
absolutely.
close to 13 or 14 years.
Yeah, so that's really it where we are with Pfizer. That 11.61 PE, that 73% payout, low 5-year dividend growth rate, increase for 12 years with that astonishingly high 6.28% dividend yield. Lanny, what are you thinking here with Pfizer to start this?
I was going through a lot of their 8Ks, and we should be seeing something of a dividend announcement. If you guys have seen one, obviously by the time of this video, let us know in the comments. Obviously, we've released this. We're going to be releasing this on Sunday.
Mhm.
What would that date be, Bert? Is that the 11th or
No,
10th? No,
it's the 14th, wrong week. 14th.
17th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
the
let us
7th.
know on there. If you know more about Pfizer, you have something, please let us know in that comment section.
Yeah. So if we didn't get it by now, guys, let's brace ourselves for the first few days of this upcoming week, because we should know sooner than later a dividend declaration.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that in the way that their dividend unfortunately works is they don't have to increase the dividend
Mm-mm.
to keep the dividend streak alive because it'll still be higher. 41 cents a share per quarter this year is a lot higher than 40 cents a share a quarter in 2022. So they've got that green check. So they really have, you know, until September of 2024 to increase the dividend.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on. I mean, for me,
Ooh,
am I running to put money into Pfizer? No. But in this market, I kind of consider it like a pissed off stock. Like, the day where like I want to buy something and I just don't know what, like $26, one share of Pfizer, sure. But like, am I advocating going out, initiating a position, and starting that? Probably not. But if there's something I really want to put money in and there's just everything skyrocketing the way it is, Pfizer might just be the last one at the dance, that day.
still one of the biggest pharmaceutical guys, big pipeline. Again, we're talking about a $60 billion in revenue company. So they're not small. They're not going anywhere tomorrow, next year, or 2 years, 5 years even. So they'll still be here, in our opinion, my opinion. Um, but I actually do think that they'll hold on doing a dividend increase just because of the headwinds, the COVID downward headwind, plus the $43 billion acquisition. I just personally think they're going to hold at the 41 cents for this year and wait till next year.
I agree. So everyone, again, let us know what you're thinking in that comment section. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Give this video a good old fashioned thumbs up. And Lanny, what do we have to tell everyone out there?
Well, first off, I'll just say, guys, think long term, guys. Not every company does very well. McDonald's had a few lower dividend growth years, and now they're firing on all cylinders. There's been a lot of companies that do different things for different reasons. But over the long term, hopefully they, migrate back towards the mean of what they usually do. Most do. So just remember that. Bert, I plan on holding the stock still and dripping shares. And you guys are either with us or you're against us, gents. That was Bert, the Hurt, and Lanny from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.